Our channel's been growing thanks to amazing viewers like you, but lately we've hit a bit of a slowdown. If you enjoy true stories that keep you hooked from start to finish, hitting that subscribe button is one of the best ways you can support us. It's completely free, takes less than a second, and makes a huge difference in helping us keep the content flowing. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get into one of the most shocking family stories we've ever shared. I wasn't scared of night driving until the blue dot started moving. I'd left Spokane after a late client dinner. It was close to 1 a.m., fog sitting low over the Columbia River like breath on glass. The highway was empty except for the occasional semi throwing a wall of mist over my windshield. My phone was clipped to the dash, maps guiding me home. No music, just wiper blades and the road hum. Around mile marker 209, the blue dot on the map, the one that's supposed to be me, split in two. For a second I thought my eyes were tired. I blinked hard. The original dot stayed centered on the blue line of the highway. A second dot, same size, same faint pulse, sat on a frontage road that paralleled the lanes for a few miles. It lagged behind by maybe 300 yards. Glitch, I said out loud. I toggled airplane mode off and on, reset the app. Both dots reappeared immediately, like they'd been waiting for me to look again. My hands went cold in spite of the heater. I slowed from 70 to 60, telling myself it was a tower triangulation issue, multipath reflections, anything technical I could hang on to. The fog thinned. My headlights raked a green sign. Next service is 37 miles. I passed a turnout and on impulse pulled in. Gravel crunched under the tires. I stopped with my hazard lights clicking. The map updated. The me dot stopped on the turnout. The second dot overshot for half a second, then jerked to a stop on the shoulder of the frontage road opposite me. My mouth went dry. I killed my hazards and headlights. The world snapped into blackness except for the ghostly blue glow of the screen. I rolled the window down an inch. The silence was tidal, just the hiss of the river somewhere out in the dark and a distant truck engine far up the grade. The second dot crept forward, inching toward where the frontage road lined up with the turnout. I stared across the highway. The fog shredded for a moment and I saw it. A pair of headlights, low and steady, no more than parking lot speed, easing along the empty road like someone trying not to be noticed. I told myself it was a coincidence. A car on a parallel road. That's all. I put the car in drive. The second I did, the other car's lights blinked out. On the map, the twin dot stopped dead. I accelerated back onto the highway, heart hammering. The blue dots slid in tandem. Mine on the freeway. The other pacing me on the frontage road. Every time I sped up, it matched. When I slowed to let a semi pass, it slowed too. The frontage road peeled away and dove under the highway at a dark underpass. I watched the map like a lifeline. The dot dipped toward the icon for the underpass, then disappeared. For 2 blessed minutes I drove alone. Then the blind spot indicator on my mirror flashed. I checked instinctively. Empty lane. No headlights. The monitor blipped again. And again. A steady pulsing alarm like a heartbeat gone wrong. I fought the urge to swerve. I stared ahead. The road unspooled in my high beams. The monitor kept pulsing. The map showed only one blue dot now, mine. Cut it out, I whispered. I didn't know whether I meant the car or the night. Up ahead, a closed rest area loomed, gates chained across the entrance, lights off. As I drew even with it, the blind spot alarm suddenly went solid and stayed solid. The hair on my arms prickled. I glanced left, unable not to. In the dark lane, pacing my driver's window, was a black shape. Not a car. Not anything with edges I could name. It looked like a smudge in the fog, the outline of something where the night should be continuous. It had no lights, no reflection. But as my eyes tracked it, the blue dot on the map, my blue dot, shivered like it was being dragged. I floored it. My engine sang, the smudge held, and then, as if bored, it peeled away. The blind spot light dropped out. The road went back to wipers and hum. I didn't breathe properly again until the lights of a 24-hour gas station bled into view. I took the exit too fast and rolled into the island under fluorescence like it was a church. There were 2 other cars at the pumps, and the attendant inside looked up, normal as grocery day. I could have cried from relief at the ordinariness of his bored expression. I killed the engine and checked the map. 1 dot. Mine. Stationary. The route home a calm blue snake. As the pump clacked to a stop, a text came in from an unknown number. Unknown, next time don't stop. There was no contact photo. Just the message and a tiny map thumbnail, my route in, my fuel stop, my blue dot centered on pump 3. The timestamp said it had been sent 8 minutes ago, when I was still on the highway before I decided to exit. I showed the attendant. He shrugged like spam was a weather pattern. I blocked the number. I changed my route to back roads I knew by heart. I didn't see the smudge again. I changed phones a month later. New number, new carrier. On the first night drive after that, coming home from a friend's place, I realized the map app's default blue dot wasn't blue anymore. It was a faint, pulsing gray. And every few miles, just at the edge of the screen, something else pulsed back. To Night Technician Building 7. I've spent 10 years telling myself there's no 13th floor in Building 7. On paper there isn't. When the city rezoned our old financial district tower, they capped the renovation at 12 stories and sealed the upper levels for demolition, when funding becomes available. The elevator skips from 12 to PH. The panels don't even have a 13 button. Lucky, they said. Superstition and code both happy. On the night tech, I babysit servers that hum behind a glass wall and a forest of blue LEDs. I replace drives that fail at 2:13 a.m. I sign for deliveries that show up at the wrong dock. The building is my whalebone cathedral after midnight. I know the noises it makes and when they're wrong. That night the noises went wrong. It started with the elevator logs pinging my workstation. Unauthorized call, car A, 1:18 a.m. I frowned. Nobody else was supposed to be in the building. Security had logged out at 11. I checked the feed. Car A sat level with the lobby, doors closed, idle. Then the indicator ticked 12. The motor engaged. A smooth rise. The little orange dot climbed. At PH, the doors should have opened to the locked mechanical level. The dot paused. Then it kept going. There was no floor above PH. The building shivered like a living thing shrugging in its sleep. I grabbed my badge and my flashlight. The server room door thunked behind me. My footsteps felt enormous in the marble lobby. I hit the elevator call button. The panel dinged like a waiter's bell. Car A descended cleanly, like it hadn't just lied to the logs. When the doors slid open, the car was empty. Of course, I muttered. I stepped in, hit 12 out of habit, then jabbed the stop key to hold the doors while I wedged my foot in. I leaned out and shouted toward the security desk. Anybody else in here? The building breathed back. I let the doors close and rode to 12. The hallway smelled like old carpet shampoo and printer toner. I walked the length twice. Every office door locked. Every light off. The elevator waited, patient as a priest. Back inside, I hesitated. My thumb hovered over PH. Then I did something stupid. I put my thumb where a 13 would be if it existed. The button plate was metal, solid and unbroken. No secret sensor, no hidden contact. But the panel dinged. The motor engaged. The car rose. My stomach left me at my shoes. I braced my hands on the rail, suddenly aware of the space under my feet, the hollow shaft, the cables singing. The car slid up, easy as a curtain being pulled. The indicator didn't show a number. It showed a blank rectangle like a missing tooth. The doors opened on a floor that didn't exist. It looked like the rest of Building 7 looked before the renovation. Drop ceiling, buzzing tubes, seafoam paint. Dust lay on everything like fuzz. The air was the exact temperature of the inside of a closed book. A row of cubicles stood with their chair backs facing the elevator, and beyond them, a long dark window showed only my flashlight glare, swallowed by night. I stepped out because I am an idiot. The carpet swallowed my footfalls. In the nearest cube, a calendar still hung. August 2008. A day was circled in red. Merch. A desk toy lay on its side. A photo frame was turned face down. The building shifted again, a whale rolling in deep water. Behind me, the elevator doors whispered shut. I spun too late, and jabbed the call button. No light. The car hummed as if it was still there, waiting, but the seam between the doors didn't show that thin line of safety light. Okay, I told the empty floor. Okay, you're tired. You're layering stress on stress. Down the hall, something clicked. A keyboard? A stapler? The sound of fingers on plastic, very gently, as if not to draw attention. I walked toward it without wanting to. As I passed a conference room, I caught movement in the glass. A figure sitting at the far end of the table, head bent to a laptop that glowed a faint, colorless gray. My flashlight glare drowned it out. When the beam slid past and the glass went dark, the glow still pulsed. Hello, I said. The word felt loud and small at once. The figure didn't look up. Their shoulders lifted and fell in a slow shrug. The overhead lights buzzed like hornets. I edged to the door and looked in. The chair at the head of the table was empty. The laptop was open, screen on, full of text that looked like it had been smudged with an eraser. And yet there was a shape in the glass, someone sitting where no one sat. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I flinched so hard my flashlight skittered across the carpet. I fumbled it upright and checked my screen. Security door, Building 7 lobby, opened, 1:24 a.m. I swallowed. I turned back to the elevator and walked. Not ran. Walked like someone crossing a church while the organist warms up. As I passed the row of cubes again, a whisper rose behind me. Not words. The sound of breath through teeth. The air cooled around my ankles like something opening a basement door. The elevator sat exactly where I'd left it. The doors slid open at the touch of my finger before I could press a button. Inside, the panel showed lobby lit up like it had been waiting. I stepped in and didn't turn around until the doors whispered shut and the car began to move. It didn't descend. It unfolded. That's the only way I can say it. The lights didn't streak, they deepened. The hum of the motor changed register like a choir switching keys in a hymn. For a second, I felt like I was being carried up through a space that was also a time. When the doors opened, I stepped into the lobby like a swimmer breaking the surface. The guard at the desk looked up with a start. "Jesus," he said. "You scared me." "You left at 11, I said. My throat felt raw. He frowned and pointed to the clock. 1:26. He showed me the logbook with his signature in the 1:20 slot. He was right. I had been wrong. Back in the server room, I pulled the elevator's event history. It showed car A going from lobby to 12 at 1:18, idle until 1:24, then lobby again. No PH. Number 13. No anomalies. I printed the log and slid it into a folder labeled building noises because that's what we do with things that don't fit. Give them a drawer and a name. I should have left it there. 2 weeks later, I was alone again swapping a failing drive. The building had that deep, sleeping quiet that makes every hum sound like it has a secret. Out of habit, I glanced at the elevator monitor. Car A was at the lobby. Car B at 7. The lobby camera showed no one waiting. The indicator for car A was blank, the little orange dot nowhere to be found. Then my workstation chimed. An email. From my address. To my address. No subject. Inside was a single line. Stop pressing buttons that aren't there. When I looked back at the monitor, car A had arrived at 12. Then the dot jumped, not climbed, up one notch farther into the blank space. I don't ride the elevator after midnight anymore. I tell new techs it's because of power anomalies. It's a lie that tastes close enough to truth to swallow. The building still makes its noises. The servers hum. Drives fail at 2:13 a.m. The logs stay neat. But some nights, even when I don't press anything at all, my badge history shows I exited on a floor we don't have, stayed less than a minute and came back down. 3. Crossed wire. The year I quit the ambulance, my partner and I took a call that still rings when my apartment is quiet. We were Unit 73 night shift, county coverage. Farm crashes, bar fights, chest pains that were really panic, the usual. It was January. The kind of cold that makes the buckles on the stretcher sting your fingers through gloves. Dispatch crackled us a call just after 2 a.m. Single vehicle rollover, unknown injuries, Route 11 near the old grain silos. We rolled. The roads were empty, the corn stubble looked like shark teeth under moonlight. My partner, Reyes, drove while I ran through the checklist out loud to keep my brain warm. Half a mile from the pin, my radio popped like oil in a pan. 73, copy additional? Dispatch. I clicked my mic, go ahead. What came back wasn't dispatch. Our eyes? The voice was warped, doubled, as if it was being played through a blown speaker submerged in water. You'll overshoot, watch the ditch. Reyes raised an eyebrow. Who's on our channel? I tapped the display. 1A our usual. Say again? I asked. Static. Then, faint but clear as if the person were sitting on our bench seat. Headlights off. Now. Reyes and I stared at each other. The road crested a low hill ahead. Beyond it, the silhouette of the silos blocked the stars. Funny, he said, and his laugh didn't sound like a laugh. Then we saw the truck. It lay on its side 40 yards beyond the crest with its undercarriage facing us like a beetle on a pin. If our lights had been up, we would have seen the reflection too late and piled into it. Reyes swore and killed the headlights. We rolled to a stop on darkness and instinct. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel my ribs shake. You see that? Reyes whispered. I nodded, throat too tight. We set blocks, cracked flares, did the dance. Scene safe, fuel leak, one driver, alive, pinned. He was mid-20s, blood in his hair, pupils reactive, combative from shock. We worked by flare light and breath steam, our hands moving in practiced choreography. Somewhere in there I said, Dispatch, 73 on scene. No answer. Dispatch, radio check. My earpiece hissed. Our eyes, seatbelt, cut above the buckle. I froze. The advice was correct. The buckle was jammed where the cab had pinched. It's the kind of thing you learn after a half-dozen extrications. But the voice was giving it like a memory instead of instruction. I cut above the buckle and the strap parted free. Reyes didn't notice my hands were shaking. We got the kid packaged and into the rig. Reyes climbed in to drive. I took the bench, set up oxygen, started vitals. As I strapped the monitor cuff around our patient's arm, the radio cracked again. Not from the dash this time, but from the handheld clip to my vest. It was our own unit ID on transmit. Our own voices coming back at us, muffled and wrong, like a recording bled through a wall. 73, copy additional? Dispatch me asked. Go ahead, Reyes me answered. Yeah, our eyes, the other me said. You'll overshoot, watch the ditch. I stared at the handheld. The LED showed transmit, not receive. Our radio was sending the sound of our earlier confusion back into the air. My patient moaned. I put my hand on his shoulder. You're okay. Stay with me. My mouth was dry. Reyes, I said. Listen. He heard it. He went still, his hands on the wheel. The rig rolled forward, quiet as a thought. On the dash, the main radio lit, active call, 73. Every time our earlier voices spoke, the timestamp ticked back, 204-203, as if we were listening to ourselves unwind. I don't like this, Reyes said evenly. Me neither, I said. At the county line, our radio snapped back to normal. Dispatch cussed us for missing their first hail. We gave report, transferred care, wrote the stupid details that hold the universe together, pulse, respirations, blood pressure, mileages. In the hospital fluorescent white, the truck kid looked very young. He kept saying, "How did you see me? How did you even see me?" Headlights off, I said, and he blinked like I'd spoken a foreign phrase. Back at the bay, we cleaned the blood smell off the stretcher and pretended to warm our hands on bad coffee. Reyes took apart his handheld with a screwdriver like he could unscrew what had happened out of it. Nothing scorched. No condensation. No smell of component death. We logged a maintenance ticket anyway. 2 days later, our supervisor waved me into his office. He held a manila envelope the way people hold snakes. Inside were 3 thermal paper strips, repeater logs. The county keeps them for audit in case of lawsuits. Who keyed up, when, how long. On the top strip, a block of hash marked 159 to 205, Unit 73, TX. Our radio had transmitted continuously for 6 minutes while we were driving to the call. That wasn't possible. The handset keys out after 30 seconds if you sit on it. What did you lean on? He asked. Nothing, I said. He watched my face like he was trying to catch a blink. He slid a second strip across the desk. 205 to 211, Unit 73, RX. That was normal. We'd been listening to ourselves somehow. He tapped the third strip, smaller. 211 to 211, Unit 73, TX. It showed a single tiny transmission right after we'd loaded the kid. What's that? I asked. He shrugged. Could be carrier noise. Could be the repeater burped. He meant, could be nothing. Put it in a drawer. I quit in spring. People think it was burnout, and maybe that's the word closest to the truth. But sometimes at night, when the city is a big sleeping animal and the window hums just a hair with wind, my microwave clock rolls from 158 to 159, and I get that feeling in my chest like a buckle stuck under a rollover cap. I hear my voice. 73, copy additional? And then, overlapped with it by the smallest sliver of time, the answer I haven't said yet, coming toward me like headlights over a hill.